Hello everyone, and welcome to this example recording on leading and lagging phasors. So the question we're going to be attempting reads as follows. If V1 is equals to minus 2 sine 2t plus 20, and it is given that V2 leads V1 by 30 degrees, and V3 lags V2 by 50 degrees, determine how far ahead or behind V1 is to V3. So the first step that we should follow is to get the reference for the reference signal that's been given in terms of your positive cos signal. So you'll remember that the diagram that we work with, such that you have a positive cos representation, looks as follows. So you would have positive cos omega t, negative cos omega t. You would have negative sine of omega t, and yes, this is the negative, and that will be positive sine of omega t. If we go up, it's plus theta. If we go down, it's minus theta. So we want to get this in terms of the positive cos. So what will minus 2 sine of 2t plus 20 degrees be? That will give us 2 cos of 2t plus 20 degrees. So we want to get a cos representation of a negative sign, meaning we're adding 90 plus 90 degrees, which then gives us 2 cos of 2t, 90 plus 20 would be 110 degrees, which then in polar form gives us 2 angle 110. Okay, so now we've got the reference voltage V1, and we can draw this out. So let's have a Cartesian plane where we can draw this out. So we know that V1 has a magnitude of 2, angle 110. So this is 90 degrees. So let's say 110 would be sitting at this point. Right, so that will be V1. This angle will be 110 degrees. And the magnitude will be 2. Now we're told that V2 leads V1 by 30 degrees. So V2 is ahead of V1 by 30 degrees. Right. So how would we then indicate V2 and V1? So if V2 is ahead of V1, what that should tell us is that if I'm drawing this signal, it should effectively sit ahead of V1, meaning further up, with a angle difference, with a difference angle of 50 degrees. So perhaps we can just do that again. So let's put V2 there somewhere. Right. So this will now be V2, which leads V1 by 50 degrees. So the angle there will be 50. Right, and then we are told, V1 leads by 30 degrees. This should actually be 30 degrees. Then we are told that V3 lags V2 by 50 degrees. So V3 is 50 degrees behind V2. Right, so let's do V3, and we'll make that 50 degrees behind. So let's put that somewhere here. And this would be V3, and the angle between V3 and V2 is 50 degrees. Right. So now the question says, how far ahead or behind is V1 when compared to V3? Right. So we've got that V1 is at 110 degrees. V2 is 30 degrees ahead of V1. So therefore V2 is going to give us a value, let's call it X, whatever the value is, angle, and the angle will then be 110 plus 30, which will be 140 degrees. And then V3 is behind V1, so let's call that Y, and it would be at 140 minus 50 degrees. So that should give us 90 degrees. So this one was 110 plus 30, which gave you 140, and this one was 140 minus 50, which gave you 90 degrees. So now the question is, what is the relationship between V1 and V3? Right, so we know V1 is equals to 2 angle 110 degrees, and we know that V3 is equals to some magnitude angle 90 degrees. Okay, and from this we should be able to see that V1 and V3, which sits there, so we can see that V1 is ahead of V3 by the difference between 50 and 30, which should be 20 degrees. So visually we can see this, right? So we can conclude by saying that the difference between 50 and 30 is 20. Therefore V1 leads V3 by 20 degrees. If this is not clear, then what we can also do is we can say let V1 equal to the reference. Then we're going to say delta theta is going to give you theta reference minus theta other, which basically gives us the reference angle 110 minus 90, which gives you positive 20, right? And the positive tells you that the reference is leading, and that tells you by how much. So we can therefore say V1 leads V3 by 20 degrees. And that's how we go about attempting this particular problem. Thank you for watching the video and enjoy the course.